Hey guys, I want to demonstrate a little difference in packaging I noticed, and it's a cool observation. So, this is Nintendogs and Cats. This is one of the three. This is Toy Poodle and Friends. There are three different versions, okay? Now, I found this guy at GameStop. You can see it still has the price tag on it. And it looked just like any other, but I noticed when I opened it up, you can see on the inside there are these breeds of dogs. Now, if I open up this one, this is the US packaging. You can see here it says, let's wait for the camera to focus, it says USA, right where my finger is. That's making it worse. My camera doesn't want to focus, but I think, yeah, it's, if you look closely you can see it says USA. This one doesn't have that on the inside. It's just plain. So if we take the actual papers out so we can see it in their entirety, here's the difference. This one says CTR, which is the product code for all 3DS games. P, which means it's a retail game. I don't know why it's a P and not an R, that's just how it is. ADCE is like the unique game code, and then USA, because that's the country. Alright? And then you see there's nothing in the back because it's rated E for everyone, so they don't need to put any, but this is where they would put, like if there was language or whatever, violence or whatever reason, they'd put those in this little area here. Okay, so if we take this one out, you'll notice now that the price tag's not in the way, it has this little marking on the top corner that says UAE, Saudi Arabia, Malaysia, Singapore official product. Let me see if I can zoom in on that a little bit more. There you go. It's not a sticker, it's actually in the artwork itself. It's like printed in there. The only other difference is there's a little green, now let's put them on top of each other. There's a little green piece here in the corner. I don't know why, but I know in Europe it's common for most of the games to have the little colors. They're like color-coded, like action has one color and role-playing has one color or something like that. So that could be what that is. Now, the only other real difference I noticed here is instead of saying USA, it says MDE, and I don't know what that signifies. But you see here, CTRP, ADCE, MDE. I don't know what MDE is. I would assume it's that those countries though. UAE, Saudi Arabia, Malaysia, and Singapore, but I mean, I don't know what the abbreviation stands for, only Nintendo knows. But, when we flip this over, you have all the different breeds of dogs, okay? You see it has the different versions, so Toy Poodle and New Friends is the one I bought, French Bulldog and New Friends, Golden Retriever and New Friends, and then these are the 6 breeds of cats that are available in all 3. Or 7? Yes, no, 6 kinds of cats. I'll pan the camera over this a little bit closer so you can see. And then in this corner here, it has the cover art for the 3 games. And if you look closely, you can see that little sticker, or the little marker thingy, in the corner of all 3 tiny little previews. Whoops. Alright, let me move my hand here. There you get your cats, as well as the bottom portion of the dogs. So, there you go. That's what it shows on the inside. And then, of course, if I flip this one over, it's just blank. There's nothing on the inside. Now, from what I've noticed, the cartridges are the same. The game cartridge itself says USA, as does this one. And I did make sure with the GameStop, this was the only copy they had, so it wasn't like it could have been mixed up. You know, but given the 3DS and the regional lockout, it wouldn't have made sense for somebody to have this in the US if it didn't work. I don't think GameStop would have even taken it back if it was like a European one. So, and I know in Singapore, at least, they have US region consoles. So I'm going to assume that those other countries in the list have those as well. So, differences in packaging on the inside. The instruction manual looks roughly the same. Now, you're not going to be able to tell from the camera, but the finish is different. This is a matte finish, like you can sort of feel it with your finger. This is a glossy finish. That's about it, though. Other than that, I think the manuals are pretty much the same. If you look on the back here... Oh, well, that's different. This just says printed in Japan. This is printed in USA, and you see it has Nintendo of America's number. That's not on this. I'm guessing because, you know, in those countries, they aren't going to pay international calling to call Nintendo. And I will show you, there's another sheet that has phone numbers instead of this one, but I think everything else is mostly the same. I mean, if you look in here, it's, you know, their little page with notes, I mean, they're pretty much the same. Then the only other difference is, this has this little thing here. It says, if you like Nintendogs plus cats. It's also written in French because of Canada. To check out these other great games. And then it has a little ad for Steel Diver and Pilot Wings Resort, because, of course, this is a launch title, so those are like the only two other games out that were made by Nintendo. Newer games, there are more things in that list. And then on the back, you've got a nice little picture of a Bulldog with the product code here. And the little Nintendo info over here. Now, in this version, you don't have that sheet, but you have this guy, which is unique. It says Distributor Active BOEKI. I'm not even going to attempt to pronounce that. You see this thing here? This address in Japan. I can't say any of those words. SupportedActiveBOEKI.com. Then it says, for customer service information, local resellers, and here are the 4 countries: Singapore, UAE, Malaysia, Saudi Arabia. And you see, these ones, these two, Singapore and Malaysia, have Maxsoft Online, and I have heard of them. They're like a Nintendo affiliate. Looks like UAE is NintendoActiveGolf.com, and Saudi Arabia is Sasamure or something like that. But, yeah, I mean, the camera should be focused enough that you can read all of those addresses and phone numbers. So if you happen to live in one of those countries and you bought games used and they didn't come with this sheet, here's the info for you. I believe the back of this is blank. Yeah, there's nothing on the back. But that's what it has in place of the little thing with Nintendo of America's phone numbers. It's got these. So I thought this was a pretty cool little find here. I'm actually a bit jealous. I mean, that's why I bought it, to add to my collection, because now I've got both variants of it. But I mean, if you look at it from an artistic standpoint, this is definitely a much better use of the space than just plain white. And then, of course, like I said, the other side of the cover is pretty much identical. The only difference being this little marker that is in the corner. If you're looking at GameStop, though, they put their price tags in that corner, so you might not be able to see it. It's, you know, right here. What you'll want to look for, just open the box and see if it has the dogs on the inside. I've noticed maybe 3 out of 4 that I've found at local GameStops of both. This one, I also got the French Bulldog one. Now I'm just on the lookout for the third. I believe, what, Golden Retriever? Yeah, Golden Retriever. I got French Bulldog already, and I just got this one today. Both of those were the Singapore and UAE, Saudi Arabia, Malaysia version. I haven't seen Golden Retriever with the artwork in any stores so far, but I haven't looked very far either. I've only checked a few. But, yeah, of those, though, they, like, 3 out of the 4 copies of Nintendogs they had were this version. If you want to know why, personally, this is just my opinion. I can't say for sure, but reading around posts on Reddit, posted on the Nintendo, the 3DS subreddit, people were asking about it, saying they bought it on Amazon brand new and got this version with this little logo and wanted to know if it was okay. And, people were saying, well, Amazon isn't going to sell you a game that won't play, blah, blah, blah. Personally, though, I think the reason why is, as I mentioned, Nintendogs is a launch title. It came out back in March 2011 when the 3DS came out. That's over 4 years ago. If you pay attention to the release dates and manufacture dates of software, they don't make them constantly for that many years. Typically, they'll make a whole batch of them, they'll sell them, and once the popularity dies down, they'll just cut their losses, if you will, and they'll just stop making them. And that's when it goes out of print. And with some games, it becomes really collectible at that point because people finally realize the game's worth playing and start going around trying to buy it. Cave Story 3D was a good example of that for the 3DS. everybody was buying Cave Story, like, used. Like, when it was new, no one batted an eye, but all of a sudden, like, it just, for some reason, a year or two down the road, people were just buying all the used copies at GameStop, and next thing you know, it was, like, super hard to find. It's easy enough to find now that, again, the popularity is sort of diminished, but I just am remembering a little while back. At any rate, though, relevant to Nintendogs, though, being a launch title, I'm going to guess that Nintendo stopped printing these guys. The US, well known this as USA, they probably stopped printing these maybe like early 2013 or so. Well, obviously people still want Nintendogs. It's still a popular game, and you know it's still got the price. It's $20 game if you don't have the pro discount. Whereas you can buy brand new games for that price. So I mean it's still a fairly sought after title. I'm guessing that due to the calendars and so on, when the 3DS versions of Nintendogs came out in these 4 countries, it was probably released after 2011? I see it says copyright 2011 on here, but given that the boxes are more or less the same, they probably just copied it word for word. I don't think that they actually, put all that much into it. Oh, one other difference I just noticed now. This says Nintendo of America has their address. This says here, active, whatever that company is. And it's actually the address in Japan, and this is here, customer service, see a sheet inside. Hence that piece of paper. I just noticed that now. And see how it says here, it says customer service, and that's their number. And here it just says, it's kind of funny, plays on Nintendo 3DS system sold for Singapore, Malaysia, UAE, and Saudi Arabia. Obviously that's not all, though. On North America and many other places it works as well, because those countries use the same region, the North American region. But, yeah, that's a couple of the little differences. But other than that, though, the copyright date probably was just word for word. Or even if it did come out in 2011 in those countries, I'm thinking either it wasn't as popular, and so there were a ton of them left once they stopped being made. They all got sold out here, and people were thinking, hey, I can just import them. Or they were being produced later, and again, they were getting imported, and so that's probably where these all came from. So people were buying them online, obviously you're not going to see one of these in a retail store that isn't a used game. I would be surprised if you walked into Target and found this on their shelf. But people had ordered them online on Amazon or even on eBay and got one of these, might have played it for a little bit, gotten bored, and traded it in and not thought anything of it. Or you get people that trade it in because it has this marker on it and they're just scared it doesn't work, or whatever the case may be. And so next thing you know, they pop up at GameStop, and yeah. So, be on the lookout. I talked to a guy in Singapore who told me all of the games said USA on the box except for Nintendogs. So I'm guessing that over there isn't much of a difference in other games. Like he owns Pokemon, one of the Pokemon, either Omega Ruby or Alpha Sapphire, I forget which one, and it says USA on it, so it's the same as what we have here. But yeah, these games are special, and they got this little marker on them. I don't know how many others exist like this, but it's a cool collectible to be on the lookout for, and like I said, I definitely think this is much prettier than having a plain, boring white insert on the game. So, just thought I'd show this to you guys, because there hasn't really been much info on the internet, and I did a quick Google search. All I was able to find was somebody asking on Reddit, is this game legit? And the answers they got were, yeah, it should be fine, but I really wasn't able to find any info about why these are coming over to the States. So, that's all speculation, but I hope you enjoyed looking at the differences in packaging. This is one of the things that I like paying attention to when I buy products. Just subtle little differences like that they change. So, I hope you enjoyed this video, and if I find any other cool Nintendo collectibles, I will certainly make more videos. Thanks for watching.